Hi, Candace.
Hello, good day, everybody. Welcome to NHPC's Facebook Live event here, the last one of 2022. And we're going to be talking about record keeping and all the fun stuff that goes along with that. And I have with me, joining me from just outside of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Michelle Blanchard, who's been a massage therapist with the NHPC for almost 20 years now. So just tell us a little bit about your practice and maybe where you went to school in Winnipeg.
Okay. Well, I started school and graduated from the Manitoba Massage Therapy College, and it has changed names since, and I can't remember the new name. It's been so long.
Evolve College.
What is it?
Evolve College.
Evolve. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So that's where I did all my schooling. Way back in 98 is when I graduated. And since 2003, I've been working with the same 3 therapists, and we run like a cooperative in the city of Winnipeg.
Okay.
And yeah, that is me.
That's great. And do you do any other modalities other than massage therapy, or?
No, not currently. I mean, I've taken other intro courses to things, and there's certainly things that I'm interested in, but so far my focus has just been massage therapy, and we'll see, 20 years, it's been a while, so I have to sort of forward think, because I'm not quite ready to, I'm ready to retire, but my bank account is not, so.
Yeah, of course. Of course, yeah. I too, in my practice too, I'm straight up massage therapy is my line too, and I'm interested. I've taken intro courses to things, but really it sort of fits what I need or what I feel I can offer the best. So that's all right. So let's get started with our Facebook Live, and we're going to talk about record keeping, and we're going to talk about. Let's start about maybe, first of all, does your clinic have any sort of policy, or do you guys have an agreement amongst yourselves that treatment notes should always be up to date, or do you have files? Are you all individual with your files, or do you share them throughout the clinic? Do you share clients at all?
We are all individual. There are some times where we share clients, like our patients, if someone's too booked up and someone's in need, it's not a problem. We'll share, and then we just leave our file out for that person, and then the next therapist takes that file and always returns it back to the original therapist.
Okay,
cool. So, but we each have our own filing cabinet where we keep all of our patient files.
Yeah.
So we as a clinic per se, we don't have a standard of like everybody does their own thing. We each do our own record keeping. And even in that, my treatment notes, what I use is a totally different sheet than what my colleagues use. They each use their own, like they've adapted it to make it work for them. And so what I use is what works best for me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we encourage people to do. Some people are pen and paper, some like to do it online. Some people like to just do, Microsoft Office kind of files for their people, whatever works for them. As long as we have what needs to be there, then it doesn't matter what format it's in, right? So as long as it works for you, that's good. I know that, it can be sort of a chore to do treatment notes, especially for those people that you've been seeing for many, many years. And they come in sort of for those, quote, maintenance appointments, or they're really, quite healthy people. You're really helping them with the basic, body wearing down from repetitive strain, sitting at a desk all day, all that kind of stuff. So how do you handle, writing a treatment note for that person that you maybe see every second Thursday or once a month, and it's kind of always the same?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly I ran into challenges, especially as a new therapist, because I was overscheduling myself, I guess, and not leaving myself enough time in between patients. So at the end of the day, I'd have a stack of 5 files. And at the end of the day, like, let's face it, you just want to go home. You're tired. You've got a pile of laundry waiting.
Yes.
So I'll just kind of go back to the first part of the question, which was what I've learned and what I'm doing now is that instead of booking people with half an hour windows in between, I try at least to do one slot where I have an hour, and then I do my treatment notes. But what I do is I bring their file into my room every time.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning when we're talking, I write things down. So I already have a good base of everything done within the first like 3 minutes of them being in my room.
Yeah.
So, and I find that's very helpful because you're writing it as they're saying it. So if you do run into a time management problem at the end of the night, you have a recollection of, oh yes, this is what they said. This is what I did. You know, like it's a lot easier to jog your memory if you've written down a couple things right off the hop. So
yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I had the old clipboard and my paper notes with me all the time. Even, you know, I think that's valuable to do. I mean, some people are going to maybe bring their iPad in and start right there, or they have a laptop in the room and they can start and close it and take it out, whatever works. But you're right, that starting off that first bit about their subjective complaint or how they're doing that day will jog your memory if you're doing your notes after the fact, right? For sure.
100%. And I think too, it also gives the patient a feeling of that you're actually committed to this, and that there's a plan, or that you're paying attention, you know, like, and yeah. So
that's an excellent
so for me, that's
point.
great. And I am totally still very old school. So for me, it's like paper, pen, file. I haven't made the switch yet to digital note keeping, but one of my colleagues has kind of experimented with it, but she has also gone back to paper. But I think that's just because we've been at it for so long. It's really hard to teach an old dog new tricks, I guess.
Yeah. yeah, very, very true. And we're not exactly you know, having your iPad there or something, you know, typically we're always kind of have a certain amount of lotion or grease or something. So we'll be always, you know, gooping up the keys or the touchpad or whatever it is. So that doesn't work for everybody for sure. But you're right. I mean, like our commitment to our clients and our obligation is to provide diligent care. And absolutely, that's where, you know, keeping accurate treatment note lives. And, you know, if, you know, there have been times when people get lax on their treatment notes and their client asks them to, you know, send their file to their lawyer or whatever it might be, and think nothing's been written down for 10 months. Well, that really shows lack of professionalism and, you know, and care and respect for that client. So it can be really disappointing for your client, your patient, and hugely embarrassing for the therapist who, wow, it got away on me. You know, and we want our treatment notes to be genuine. That's why we want you to do them as quick as you can after the treatment, you know, and that doesn't mean I got to get it done before the next one, like, you know, reasonable within 24 hours, whatever happens, you do it the next day, at the end of the day.
For sure.
You know, otherwise it's not fresh in your mind, right?
And for those patients that I see all the time and that come in for like a general massage without complaint, that's what I'll write in my file. Like I have I brought this with me. I made I have like a list of like my my abbreviations in case I ever get audited or anything, so that
very good idea.
And also for my colleagues, because we don't always use the same language. So if they need to look at, sorry, that I'm going to shift a bit because the sun is like that Winnipeg sun
blinding you there,
burning my retinas. So I keep a sheet with my abbreviations. But for example, if I have someone that comes in all the time and they have no major physical complaints at all, then that's what I'll write is they can't, like FBTW, I think I write full body wellness treatment. And then I'll just put patient has no physical complaints at this time. And that's about it. And then I'll itemize what I did, like, you know, prone. I always start with which direction I have them facing first. So that next treatment,
that's great.
If they say, that last treatment you gave me was really great, then I have an idea of exactly how I did it. And so we'll keep doing that. Don't mess with success.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I
And
think
then-
that's important too, because we will have clients that say, whatever you did last time, oh, my headaches are gone. I've been sleeping like a baby, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, well, geez. Yeah, if you don't write it down, if you add other modalities into your treatment, you should have those, of course, recorded in there. So
Right.
that, first of all,
Or-
we can't remember everything. And it helps us track progress when they're like, wow, when you came in here, you had such bad headaches and you said your jaw was so sore, you were grinding and you haven't mentioned that. And like, oh, look at my notes here. You haven't mentioned that in 6 months. Obviously something's working, so
100%.
it really provides that proof that what you're doing is excellent for them. And again, if there's somebody else paying for the treatment, like, Canada Life, Manitoba Blue Cross, whatever it is, they need to see that you're actually doing something because they're paying for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I like what you said there about, that you kind of overscheduled yourself when you were first starting out, and just, at the end of the day, you just wanted to, vamoose, get out of there. So is that, what kind of good habits with record keeping can you give us, so that, the members joining us right from the start have some good habits that they could start right off the bat? What are some of those suggestions?
Well,
that you
I
can
will say that we had heard a few years ago from another clinic in Winnipeg that had gotten audited by an insurance company, and because they didn't have their patients initial their treatment plan or their receipt, they were on the hook to pay back like a bunch of money because they couldn't prove that patient was actually there at that time. Something insane. So anyways, we made it a policy at our clinic that when we have our for myself personally, I have my patients will initial or sign their receipt. So that's one aspect of record keeping, making sure that I know that they were there. I have proof that they were actually there on the day.
Yeah, sure.
And or their treatment plan as well. If it's something that's going to require that's an injury and that's going to require several steps in order to get them back to where they want to be, then I make sure they initial their treatment plan so that we're both on the same page, and that they also have ownership of their journey to healing.
Wow, that is a sound bite right there, man. Let me tell you. That's great. I know some people struggle with this, that they think they have to fix everybody that comes in or heal everybody that comes in, and it's a two-way street. They can't just come and, without any effort, just lie there and you're expected to fix all their issues. That's not how it works. They have to make a commitment to come in, to maybe do the home care that you've assigned them, to realize that, their posture during the day, their ergonomics, their whatever it might be, and the time it takes to recover from a motor vehicle accident, for example, it doesn't happen in 3-6 months. It just doesn't. So that is a really cool thing that you do. I think that's great. And also, if you're ever audited and you don't have, an initial by somebody's receipt, then that would stop any fraud from happening as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Really cool.
Yeah, so that's what we do at our clinic. And I did take a course through NHPC during one of the conferences, and it was with Don Dillon. And he did one on note keeping and record keeping, and I use his template for my note keeping because I'm a visual person. So like with his, he's got, I don't know if you guys can you see that at all?
Yeah.
So he's got like the body, and then like all of the symptoms and yellow flags, red flags. And I find that it's a really good way for me to be able to help figure out what I want to do. This sun is driving me crazy. Hang on. I shouldn't complain because it's been so bitterly cold that the sun is just a lovely addition to my day. But okay, a little bit better. Anyway, for me, it just helps me to be able to visualize and to be able to, and also for my patient to be able to like show me where they're feeling, and it has leading questions for me. And then that way I can sort of better organize my thoughts. And then on the flip side to that is once they're gone, then I can look up things. I can look up things like the muscles that are implicated, exercises that I think that they should do. And oftentimes I will text my patient later with exercises that I would like them to do just to help them out.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No, that's great. That's really thorough client-centered treatment there. That's great. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think that the visuals are they make things quicker, like you say. They can, rather than writing out left piriformis, lateral, blah, blah, you can draw, circle that and then do your notes about what you found in that area. Because, we do assess before they get on the treatment table to some degree, but really we're assessing through the whole treatment.
That's right.
We're feeling things, we're noticing this stuff they didn't even know was there. And so assessment doesn't quit, but you want to note that once you're done so that you can either say, hey, next time I noticed blah, 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 maybe we'll try doing this or that. And you have it in your treatment notes and I discuss with them next time.
I typically will leave my clipboard with a pen on my side table. So if there is something, like if I notice a huge like trigger point, then I'll mark it on the sheet right away. They don't even notice that I'm doing it, and it's just something so that again, to jog your memory later when you are doing your notes or whatever. But that's definitely one thing. And I mean, and my colleagues use a totally different sheet. There's no diagram. They have a thing that kind of like where they circle what area of the body they worked on and patient feedback, whatever, but that's what works for them. And it's easy for me to decipher when, another sneaky move. It's easy for me to decipher what they've done in that way. And and as far as updating patient files and stuff, I make sure in the new year, that's kind of my marker, my first week back. It's all the files that I bring in, because I bring in the file with my clipboard. So then I just run over everything. Is your address changed, medications, and we do that all at that time. So that's kind of my marker. It's the easiest way for me to remember is like new year, just redo, I mean, if there's significant changes for someone, then we'll do a whole new file. But if it's just address change or whatever, I'll just do it straight on the paper and have them initial it. I don't know if you asked me that question, but I'm jumping ahead.
No, that's fine. What Michelle is speaking of is renewing that intake that health history and intake form at least once a year with your clients, right? So it's something that we put in the e-news at the first of the year all the time, saying, hey, this is a good time to do that. Your first first time seeing them in the new year, just go through and make sure you've got things up to date, because especially with those clients that we've been seeing for years and years, you may have seen them before they were married, now they're married, now they have kids, now they're who knows what, there's a lot of changes that happen in people's lives, and along with those changes, their status of health changes, right? Different medications, pregnancies, injuries, accidents, whatever it might be. And it's important that we're looking at all the factors of somebody before we're making that decision on what kind of treatment you're going to do that day, right? And this also helps people who, if you're in a clinic where you do share files, where a client can be booked in with multiple people, then, you're not looking at a form going, oh, so you were in a car accident last month. No, that was 3 years ago. Like, what's going on? That and I
certainly acknowledge the challenges that must present themselves to people who work in like a spa-like setting where they might not have patients that consistently come back to them. They may, but I can understand how challenging that would be as far as record keeping and things like that. But I mean, it is so important just in terms of those auditing moments, like for insurance purposes and things like that. And I mean, I hate to think that we're at the mercy of the insurance company, but the reality is that in a lot of ways
sometimes we are. That's right. Yeah. Then, and if you can't prove that you did the treatment, that the client was there that day, that, you just, especially with direct billing, it can be very easy to, bill the insurance company and, figure out the treatment later sort of thing, which,
and to be able to prove what
Yeah.
you did during that treatment, like
Yeah.
if anything, if there is any complaints brought forward against you or anything, that you have something to fall back on and to say like, well, this is exactly
Yeah.
what I did in that treatment, and
Yeah.
here it is.
Exactly. And that's the very best defense against any kind of, either a client deciding, oh, I need some extra money, I'll put in a couple, I'll, do my own, submitting or something, or, and again, somebody just somehow seeing your number and deciding to, bill some treatments under that. If you like, well, I don't work Tuesdays. These are my clients. This is who I saw that day. These are my financial records. This is the attendance, who was there in my clinic that day. Then you're covered. That's the best way to do it, But if there's anything, if you can't say where you were or who came in, or maybe the file's there, maybe it isn't, then, you're definitely going to be flagged and they're going to start watching closely. And that can really ruin it for a bunch of your clients, and yourself. That can be a tough thing to come back from, because, again, insurance companies are kind of the big, they're huge corporations. They don't really think twice about going, oh, too bad, we're not going to honor your claims anymore.
Exactly.
And that'll hugely impact a lot of your clients. It's just, sorry, that's the way it is, straight up. It's sort of it's a blessing and a curse, I think, almost, that so many insurance companies now cover massage therapy. It's opened it up for a lot of people, but it's also, I think there are some people that are only relying on those dollars, then probably are missing out on some care, because, they can only go till October, because that's the only way their coverage.
And I will also say that, importantly, that I try to do all my files at the clinic, because I don't want to be responsible, because you're responsible for those files. So and honoring privacy laws and things like that. Like if someone were to steal those files out of your car, if you for whatever, so I make sure, so just try to make sure to carve out a bit of time to be able to do your files. Like, and I mean, once you get your system down, it goes faster, like with all your abbreviations and things like that. It does go faster. And I mean, it doesn't take me long, typically, like at max 5 minutes to do someone's file, if it's not complicated, of course. If it's complicated, then it'll take a little longer. But I really try to do, like, I don't bring files home with me, because I don't want to be responsible for that. And they're locked up in a filing cabinet. Like, you have to honor that, like, and that it's very important.
Absolutely. That it's confidential. It's the client's health information. It's not your file. It's actually theirs, right? So you have to have custodianship of it. You keep it safe, and you don't haul it around. The only time you should really carry any kind of files around is if you're doing mobile treatments and you need to have that treatment with that file with the person, obviously, right? But other than that, carrying them back and forth to the office can be real iffy. And I just want to mention too, that on the NHPC website, on the member side, we do have a sample health history intake form that you can use. So take a look at that. If you're the one you're using at your clinic is maybe not sufficient, if you find you go through it, but you're still asking a bunch of questions to the people, maybe it's time to review your intake and get those things on there that you need and want to have, that are going to help you, decide on the treatment plan between you and the client. So take a look at the one on the NHPC website if you need some ideas there. It also goes through some informed consent, right? So informed consent is, of course, informing somebody before they make the treatment, or make the okay for you to start the treatment, which is how Michelle here does with going through it and asking the client to initial that this is the plan. And I think that's a great idea.
It just it safeguards you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it does. And again, people will say, I know, yes, I totally agree. But sometimes they don't fully understand what you're actually
Mhm.
talking about. Or maybe, you know, during the treatment, they feel like, oh, that's what that was. No, I don't want to do that anymore. You have to,
Exactly.
you know, you have to let them, you know, they don't want you digging in their axilla but they thought axilla was something else, or who knows what.
Yeah.
So you need to have that back and
Or
forth.
they come back and tell you like, oh, last time I got a rash from whatever cream you used, or, you know, those are important things to note so
Yeah,
that you don't do
sure.
it again.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Yeah. So I want to thank you very much for that bit on, you know, just reminding people to just carve out a little time for that. And you're
Mhm.
right, it doesn't take much.
Mhm.
And I
That's,
love the idea about, you know, just involving your clients a little bit more on that, you know, pre-treatment protocol stuff. You know, this is what we're going to do. How do you think this is going to work? And do, you know, explaining it to them, and, you know, them initialing the receipt, I think is a pretty cool idea.
mhm. Yeah.
So what do you do if somebody comes back and they need another receipt? You just mark it duplicate.
I write duplicate on it.
Yeah.
So right at the very top, it hasn't happened it used to happen quite a bit actually, but I don't know. I think people are just getting better at it, but
Yes.
if it's a duplicate, I'll write right on it duplicate, so that if they submit it, then the insurance company or whatever knows that
Yeah, exactly.
it's not a new, and I will reuse the number of the original receipt so that
Okay.
it's not, you know what I mean? Like, so that
Yep.
it'll just say duplicate and then the number of the original receipt.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And the
Okay.
original date.
Yeah. I think that let's see, we don't have any questions, but we have some great comments about never thought about having the client initialing the receipts. That's a great idea. Love the client signing their receipts. Thank you for that. So look at you. You're just cutting edge,
Hey,
even though you're, you know,
20 years
years
of experience, you know, and
Yeah,
it does safeguard you so that they, you know, like there's proof that they were actually in your clinic and at that time, and you know, it's just
sure.
it's
Yep.
for both of you.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Okay, so we're at our half an hour mark here, just about.
Wow,
So see how fast that went? It was fantastic. Okay, so I want to thank everybody who's tuned in. I know we've got a bunch of people live watching us on Facebook, and thank you very much for that. And it's also going to be available. It's going to be available after that, because we tape these and we'll put them on, and they'll be up on social media and you know, on the YouTube page and stuff like that. Okay. I'm just see another question that came up. Oh, how long after a client no longer sees you do you have to keep their file, their chart? You have to keep it for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So we keep our stuff for Revenue Canada for 7. We have to keep our stuff for our clients for 10. So after they stop seeing you, you keep that file around for 10 years, then you can safely destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah. Yeah, there's another question here. I'm sorry, we're just going to take a look at one more question. And it's about, you know, if we're doing digital receipts, how can you get a client to initial that? Well, I don't think you can.
I don't think so.
there'd
I
be
was
no
thinking
way.
about that too. I don't
Yeah.
know, is there, if you're doing digital receipts and you're doing digital note taking, unless you're doing paper note taking, then I would get them to sign the treatment notes.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I don't know if there's a way that they can do a digital, you know how you can do a digital signature on things? I don't know.
I don't know how that would happen either, but you know, if you're using an online system like that, perhaps pose that question to them. Then maybe their content creator people can come up with some way to do that.
We did
But you
think
know,
about
another
that.
thing. Sorry,
As far
another
as
thing could be to have a sort of an attendance book, you know, that you're signed in for that treatment. Here's my, you know.
Oh yeah,
That might
that's
be
a good
something.
idea.
Yeah. And that can stay, you know, one book, you know, your like a day timer or whatever you want to use, that could maybe be done for that. But okay, so thank you very, very much, Michelle. I really thank you for joining us today and giving us all your wisdom, because man, it was a while. It was a good
Anytime.
visit today. And even though you're running away from the sun, I hope the rest of your day you're going to be in the sun and getting some good vitamin D and all that. Okay.
For sure.
Okay. So we're
It's
going
so
to
nice to
sign
see.
up. I want to encourage anybody who's putting the questions in there. I will answer them as I can and get back to you. So you can definitely reach out to us here at the NHPC to get those questions answered. Okay.
All right.
We're going to sign off here from NHPC World Headquarters in Edmonton, Alberta. All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you in the new year with some more Facebook Live events. Okay. Thank you.
Bye.